Don't we live in a miserable world at the moment? Just looking at the news now, this second. I was just looking before I came in. I'll just put the news on here for you. It's quite miserable at the moment. There's lots happening in the world. It is pretty miserable. Let's hang on, let's get the news. Yeah, we've just heard 6 minutes ago about a bomb that's gone off in a Coptic Christian cathedral in Cairo. It's killed at least 25 people. There was a bomb yesterday in Turkey where the 38 were killed outside a stadium in Istanbul. And then there was that horrendous story we heard last night in Nigeria of the roof collapsing in a church and killing 50 more worshippers. It's not a good world sometimes. It's not a good world, and I'm all sticky now. It's not a good world. You think about the misery. I went out this morning. I went out and I bought a newspaper. Well, I bought 2 newspapers because I thought I don't want anyone accusing me of being politically biased or anything. Am I all right doing that, Andrew? So I thought I'd give you some misery. Let's start with some good misery. All right, you can't have misery without this man, can you really? We know him well, Mr. Trump, who's in our news all the time. We'll stick Mr. Trump on there because you've got to have a spot of Trump misery. This time, he's actually employed somebody who came from Dagenham to organise the party for his inauguration. It's going to be some party. Do you know, this man has got the most expensive cabinet in the world that's ever happened. Everybody he's appointed to his cabinet are billionaires, so they'll really understand what the ordinary people are like. Yeah? So that's good news, isn't it? It's good news all around. I'm going to make you quite miserable, actually. Here you go. Anybody travel to work? Do you know that Britain leads Europe in the long commute? Let's put it somewhere here. And Britain leads Europe. We have the longest journeys to work in the whole of Europe. What's happening to us that we're having to work so hard to keep going there? It's not great, is it? And then of course, a few dirty tricks on the go. Life is never so miserable as a few dirty tricks. This morning, the General Secretary of Unite, Len McCluskey, was engulfed in a row about dirty tricks this weekend as a rival was poised to challenge him for control of the unions. Whichever party, whichever union, there's so much infighting going on in this world. It's not good, is it? Miserable world we live in. Miserable world. Are you feeling miserable yet? It's good. I'm going to make you worse. Got to have a bit of politics just to prove I'm really not being biased here. We've got Corbyn and a demonstration yesterday where Peter Tatchell walked in and tried to interrupt the meeting to talk about the lack of work and support in Syria. So that's pretty miserable, isn't it? That things like that. Actually, I'm going to cover a bit of Obama up there. I'm fed up with him already. There you go. I've got several years to get fed up with him. So it's getting quite miserable. And okay, serious story. They're all serious stories. Shock figures show Tory plans making social care worse, not better. So the flagship scheme is missing targets, the data shows. Council tax the rise is too small to help, said the King's Fund. And we're going backwards in many places. There are many people in our community who are really suffering because they're not getting what they need. That's a tragedy. Is it a tragedy? Yeah, absolutely. Good. I'm glad somebody's getting angry with me because I want to get angry this morning. I want you to get angry and miserable because I'm going to find a way out of it soon. Okay, good. So, there you go. If we've not got things like that happening, we've got hate preachers ignoring pleas of abuse. I wouldn't bother buying the papers. They're full of misery. There were some good things, but I didn't bring those. I just brought you misery. Hate preachers ignoring pleas of abuse victims. Dreadful. This whole thing about hate preachers, preaching against things, saying things are wrong. It's just dreadful. So let's get that on there too. Pretty miserable. And we keep going with our misery. We misery. Oh yeah, this is one dear to my heart. Schools in funding battle consider 4-day week. They have cut budgets to schools so much that people can't afford to pay teachers to teach the children, never mind anything else. Appalling. That makes me very cross, as you would probably imagine. A kind of vested interest in it, really. And then I brought one colour picture here. Dreadful picture. Assad gives families no way out in Aleppo endgame, and there's just a picture of broken, damaged buildings. What a miserable world we live in. Let's put that on there. What a miserable world we live in. We're going all right. And then football's not had a good time lately. Football's been in the focus for abuse, for fixing, double agents used to beat revenue to stop paying taxes. That's pretty awful. And then obviously all the sex scandals, the safeguarding, the child abuse scandals there. And now cricket are calling in police chiefs to look into that, to try and help sort that out for them. It's just dreadful. Miserable world we live in. Don't we live in a miserable world? Getting more miserable. Some child refugees in this country have just disappeared. Nobody can find them. Really worrying. They've just disappeared amid fears they've been drawn into slavery or prostitution. Just a miserable world. No wonder. It's just good, isn't it? I'm cheering you up a lot. And you know, if you work for Amazon this Christmas, if you're a sick Amazon elf, as it were, you get the sack. That's how they deal with people who are sick at Amazon. So there you go, there's a nice thought. That was in this morning's paper too. I didn't buy the Mail, by the way. I didn't get to the real misery. And then the football stadium blast in Istanbul, killing 15 people. I'm not there yet. I'm still more misery. Oh, we couldn't have misery without a bit more Brexit, could we? Do you know, 18 months ago, none of us knew the name Brexit. It never existed. And now we can all talk about it. We know what it means. New court case threatens to derail Brexit. I'm not going to read it to you. You can read it yourself if I haven't covered it up in a minute. And then we've got spikes, railings and weapons of dehumanising campaign against the homeless. They talk about pictures. They had lots of pictures of chairs and spikes on seats to stop people sleeping rough and sleeping out on the streets at all. Just make it difficult for everybody, won't you? So that's not good news. And then not many more misery. Growing numbers of older people are going without enough care or no care at all. Am I really cheering you up this morning? Yeah? I'm going to cheer you up in a minute. Don't panic. I hope so. Acutely ill children waiting for 9 hours for beds. That's just dreadful, isn't it? It's a dreadful world when that sort of thing happens. And some of you work in hospitals or have worked in them, and you know how hard it is, how cuts to resources. It's really hard. It's really dreadful. I've got 5 more. Oh, I might manage 6. May told to call off the dogs before Boris bites back. I'm not going to say anything about that. I'm just going to stick that up. I thought this was quite funny. This might cheer you up a bit. Swigging Santas go on a bar crawl for Christmas. It seems to be that seems to be quite a popular fee at the moment. Dressed as Santas going on pub crawls, and some of the landlords are refusing to let them in. There's a surprise. I'll stick it up there. And did anybody get any good Black Friday deals? Anybody get any good deals at Black Friday with all the hype and everything else? Well, near chaos descended according to the papers. Did you find chaos where you went on Black Friday? Mind you, Black Friday seems to have lasted a very long time, didn't it? It seemed to have lasted 2 weeks. I'm not sure. Still going on, is it? Just one day has become Black Friday. And I know some of them tried to make Cyber Monday the next one, but we'll see. Not good, is it? And then, I think very appropriate here, FBI covers up Kremlin's efforts to fix US election for Donald Trump, claims Democrats. Shall I stick that over Donald Trump? That's quite fun, isn't it? There you go, that's made me laugh. Okay. And then, what have we got here? No, I'll leave that one. Oh, and Christmas isn't Christmas, not only without the Radio Times, without a good train strike at Gatwick. Don't think that's going to stick. So, and then we come to our readings that we heard so well read before, and we look at what happens. The wilderness and the dry land shall be glad. The wilderness. It's some wilderness we live in, isn't it? Some wilderness. You think about the misery just of this year, and the wilderness shall be glad, we are promised. The desert of life will rejoice. Then the eyes of the blind shall be open, and the ears of the deaf unstopped, and the lame, what was that about hospital beds? And the lame shall leap for joy. And then Mary's amazingly beautiful song, where she talks about my soul magnifies the Lord, and my spirit rejoices in God my Saviour. And then it goes on about the powerful being brought down from their thrones, and the lowly lifted up high. That in that day it will come. And then we think about what we respond and how we respond, because it's right and it's proper that we challenge all these things within our church, within our Christian life, that we say this is wrong and this is right, that the lowly shall be raised, that the hungry shall be fed with good things, and the rich will be sent away empty. For his mercy is for those who fear him from generation to generation. There was one more news article that caught my imagination and caught my idea, and I think actually says it all. The British Museum has just unveiled the beauty of a 600-year-old alabaster model of Mary, the Virgin and Child. And the good news of joy comes just in a baby, just in that child. So I'm just going to add that, which I have to put some glue on when I work out where I put. There it is. Because that's the message and that's the hope of Christmas, that serene figure of Mary and the baby Jesus came to save the world, came to bring joy, to bring hope, to bring a new start for all of these people. Because you see, we can be miserable about all of this. We can be so sad that all of this is happening. We can be angry, and it's right to be angry at injustice. It's right to be angry when things go wrong. But it's also right to know that Mary, Jesus, particularly Jesus, the Son of God, came to earth to give us a new life, a new start. And amidst the misery, we can have this 3-letter word. We sang joy to the world. The Lord is here. We can have joy as we wait, as we hope, as we look. God can give us joy. And whatever our personal tragedies are, whatever the things are in our lives that are just not right, whatever the things that go wrong in our lives, however sad things are, we can know that Jesus came to earth to bring us joy, to bring us hope, to bring us a way forward. So let's cast away our misery. Let's cast away our miserableness. And let's speak for the poor, for the marginalised. Let's be people who next year promise that we will stand up for those who need us, for those that need to hear the good news of God's joy that comes to each of us.